Part 1. The Girl in the Red Coat. On a warm Monday morning in early April, while the buds on the trees outside Valley Creek Primary were just beginning to stretch into the sun, a small figure appeared at the doorway of Mr. Lewis's kindergarten classroom. She was wrapped tightly in a faded red coat, zipped all the way up to her chin. The coat was far too heavy for spring, and the girl's arms gripped it like armor. Her name was Nova. She had been transferred mid-semester, placed in foster care just a week prior, and the only information in her file was a handwritten note. Nova, age 5. Quiet. In foster care. To the front office staff, the coat might have seemed like a harmless quirk. But Mr. Lewis, with 12 years in the classroom and a quiet grief he rarely shared, the memory of losing his own sister to a failed foster system, sent something more. He greeted her gently. "Hi, Nova. I'm Mr. Lewis. Welcome." She gave a shy nod and whispered, "Yes, sir." As the day unfolded, Nova never removed the coat. Not during story time. Not during painting. Not even when the class did their daily jump-in spin dance routine. "Nova," Mr. Lewis suggested kindly. "You can leave your coat on your chair if you want. It's getting warm." Nova froze. "Mommy says it stays on. Always." He paused. "Your foster mom?" She nodded silently. He let it go for the moment. Part 2. Patterns and Bruises. Over the next week, Mr. Lewis kept a discreet journal. Nova's coat remained zipped, even as the spring temperature soared. Sweat beaded at her temples. She avoided the restroom when other children were present. She flinched if someone touched her arm. Then, during a craft activity, a classmate accidentally bumped Nova. Her scissors slipped, and she let out a stifled yelp. Mr. Lewis rushed over. Nova clutched her sleeve. He glimpsed what looked like finger-shaped bruises on her forearm before she pulled the coat tighter. "It's just a bump," she murmured. His heart clenched. He consulted the school nurse, Miss Adams, and they agreed to offer Nova a wellness check, disguising it as routine. But when Miss Adams gently invited her to the nurse's office, Nova panicked. "Mommy says no one can see under my coat." Tears welled in her eyes. Miss Adams backed off. Mr. Lewis tried to contact Miss Trent, the foster mother. She was evasive, smiled too much, and insisted Nova was just self-conscious about old scars from a childhood accident. But something didn't sit right. Part 3. Whispers and Warnings. Nova's behavior grew more concerning. She rarely ate her lunch. She flinched at sudden movements. When Mr. Lewis asked if things were okay at home, she whispered, "Mommy says I'm bad. I try to be good, but she gets mad." Then, one Friday, Miss Trent failed to pick Nova up on time. Mr. Lewis sat with her in the hallway. "Does she ever hurt you?" he asked gently. Nova shook her head, but her lips quivered. "I can't say." The following week, Nova returned to school with visible bruises near her jaw. She claimed she had tripped. Miss Adams documented it. Mr. Lewis supported a formal report to Child Protective Services, CPS. The caseworker, Miss Evers, visited the home. Miss Trent spun a believable story. Nova, terrified, repeated the lies she'd been fed. With no clear evidence, CPS couldn't intervene further. Mr. Lewis felt helpless until Nova disappeared. Part 4. Vanished. Miss Trent stopped answering calls. Nova missed 3 days of school. A neighbor reported seeing Miss Trent pack a car late at night with a child in the passenger seat, zipped in a red coat. Mr. Lewis panicked. CPS escalated the case. Detective Alvarez was assigned. Surveillance footage from a rural gas station showed Miss Trent and Nova. The girl's eyes, wide with fear, stared directly into the camera. Mr. Lewis, desperate, joined the search team. A lead from a hardware store clerk, rope, duct tape, and a girl in a red coat guided them to an abandoned orchard once owned by Miss Trent's father. In a decaying shack, police found Miss Trent and Nova. The girl was curled in a corner, trembling, still zipped into that coat. She ran into Mr. Lewis's arms. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't mean to be bad." He held her tightly. "You did nothing wrong. You're safe now." Part 5. Healing. Nova was taken to the hospital. Bruises, a hairline wrist fracture, dehydration. She clung to Mr. Lewis's hand through it all. CPS placed her in a specialized home. But Mr. Lewis couldn't walk away. He applied to adopt her. It was a long, bureaucratic road. Home studies, psychological evaluations, district protocols. But finally, months later, a judge granted full custody. "Can I come home with you now, Daddy?" Nova asked. "Yes, sweetie. Home. Forever." Part 6. A New Life. At home, Mr. Lewis gave Nova a bright bedroom. She stored the coat in a closet, unsure whether to keep or discard it. Bit by bit, therapy and routine helped her reclaim joy. Painting, bedtime stories, silly songs. One day, she handed him the coat. "I don't need this anymore," she said. They donated it together. "I'm done with secrets," Nova whispered. She thrived. In school, she made friends, joined a soccer team, and earned top marks. At age 8, she told her story to help train teachers on recognizing child abuse. Years passed. Nova grew bold and bright, never again defined by fear. Part 7. Full Circle. By middle school, Nova wanted to be a teacher. She said, "I want to spot hidden coats." "Like you did, Mr. Lewis cried. At 18, she was accepted to college for early childhood education. She interned at Valley Creek, helping quiet kids open up. One boy reminded her of herself, silent, hoodie zipped high. She gently intervened. It turned out he was being neglected. She helped save him, too. Years later, at her wedding to a kind-hearted social worker, Mr. Lewis walked her down the aisle. "Thanks for being my dad," she whispered. "You save yourself, too," he replied. Epilogue. The legacy of the coat. Mr. Lewis retired after decades of teaching. Nova, now a teacher, carried his legacy forward. She taught students to speak up, be kind, and look beyond appearances. She often reminded her class, sometimes coats hide bruises, not just cold. Before he passed, Mr. Lewis gave Nova's red coat, folded carefully, to another new teacher, the daughter of Miss Caldwell. "One coat, one child, one teacher," he said. "That's all it takes to change everything." Nova now has a child of her own, running free without coats, free from secrets, full of light. And that's how the story of a red coat ended. Not in tragedy, but in triumph.